I'm covering social media and recruiting, learning how to promote your internal brand externally. So what does that look like? Before we get started, I'll do a quick poll, if you guys are, see who's listening. Who here considers their company to have an employment brand? Couple, okay. On the flip side, who considers their company to not have an employment brand? All right, okay. Well, I've got some good news for the second group. Regardless of what you're putting out into the marketplace, you actually do have a brand because your culture is your brand, okay? Kind of an interesting way to think about it, but what the opinions that folks have about your organization, whether that's internally or externally, that's what really defines your employment brand. So we'll talk a little bit more about what those definitions are. So when you think of the phrase employment brand, we're really, again, thinking of the idea that comes to mind when someone hears the name of your organization, the feeling that they get. So that can be something really positive. You know, you're doing great things for the world, you're doing great things for your employees, or that can be something like, I've never really heard of them, or I heard they don't treat people so well, right? But the best thing about whatever that opinion is it can change. And us in HR, we really have the ability to make those changes in a very impactful way. So when we're thinking about who an employment brand affects, there are really three main groups that come to mind for me. So my background with Talent Savvy, and even before Talent Savvy, is in recruiting. So when I think about employment branding, I think of how we're connecting with potential job seekers, okay? So your employment brand is something beyond just your job description or beyond your careers page. We're really talking about social media efforts and how you're able to connect with people, both passive job seekers and active job seekers. So on the active front, these are people who are maybe interviewing for your company, or they want to interview for your company, and they are doing research. They're reading your career page, they're reading everything there is to know about the history of your organization, but hopefully they're also checking out your social media pages. And they are there to learn, again, what it's like to work inside your organization. Same thing with passive candidates. They might not be researching your company day and night, but they're still consumers of information, okay? 16 minutes of every single hour spent online is spent on social media. So whether they realize it or not, you can really become a part of what they're consuming, okay? So they start to see your company name. They start to see cool things you're doing. And it's not just an advertisement, it's not just a posting about a job, it is talking about what our organization stands for. The second group that employment brand affects are your actual employees. Surprise, surprise, right? So this is a way for you to connect with your employees, whether that's in one office or many offices across the country or the world. This is a way to sort of bring people together and remind them that we're in this as one entity. The third area is your customers and your vendors. So it's less important for those folks, but people want to do business with other companies that they feel are doing good in the world. So you can use your employment brand to amplify that information and talk to people about all the amazing things you're doing. Amazing things for your employees, amazing things for your community, and perhaps amazing things for other organizations from a philanthropic perspective or otherwise. Okay, so what does an employment brand include? I've talked a little bit about that, but there are areas beyond what I've already introduced. There are three main buckets. So when I work with my clients on how to develop your employment brand and what your employment brand should really consist of, I think of, again, three main areas. The first area is what's happening inside your company. So many of us are doing so many wonderful things for our employees, and we're engaging them, and we're developing them, and we're training them, and we're providing opportunities for them to interact with their fellow employees. Why keep that quiet, right? Your employment brand is meant to introduce that information to the world and show all the amazing things that you do for your employees. So 1/3 of what you're putting out from an employment branding perspective should be around what's happening inside. So that means employee news. Who joined your company today? Who got promoted today? Who got a really exciting award or piece of recognition today? Aside from that, giving a better idea of what it's like to work inside your organization, I like to call that DITLO, which stands for Day in the Life of. Help potential employees or those internally that are looking for other opportunities within your organization understand what that might look like for them. What does a typical day of a software developer or a salesperson look like from beginning to end? Capture that in stories and capture that in photos. The third area of that is team events. So we're talking about not only lunches and happy hours and things like that, but what did you achieve together as a team today, or this month, or this year? What are you really proud of, and how are you telling that story to those outside of your organization? The second main area is company updates. So you as an organization are obviously doing really cool things. Maybe you're winning awards. Maybe you're partnering with new strategic folks outside or internally. Make sure that your employment brand really talks about that and is displaying that information. And then the third piece of employment branding, and this is a smaller piece in my opinion, is really anything to do with your open positions. While you want to make sure people have access to that information, be that on your careers page or your LinkedIn page or wherever, that's not the focus of your employment brand. And if you do want to post about the current opportunities that you have available, perfectly fine, but don't have it as a standard message, right? We're hiring account executive. Include a picture of the team or of the manager or of some exciting win that they are pumped to tell the world about. All right, so where does an employment brand live? Social media comes to mind first and foremost. There are really 6 main buckets of social media or mediums for social media. So we've got Snapchat and Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube even, right? So wouldn't it be cool if potential employees can visit your LinkedIn page to see videos that are on your YouTube page about what it's like to work in your organization? And oh, by the way, those snippets also live on your Facebook page and on your Twitter page. And those, I don't know how Snapchat works yet, but those snaps live on your Snapchat page, I'm assuming. The important piece is to try and get as many mediums as you can to connect with people on whatever medium they're most comfortable with using or they're most active on. So when should an employment brand evolve? I usually have a slide of this and it just flashes the word now over and over and over. So if you feel behind, if you're thinking, man, we don't have anything about branding, that's okay. Because I help companies that are in that same situation where they haven't given a single ounce of thought to it. And the importance is they're thinking of it now, just like you guys hopefully are. You can start today. It doesn't have to be with creating your first Twitter jobs account, but it has to start with the idea. What do you want to display? What the messages do you want to convey? And what partners do you need to team up with internally, whether that's marketing or executive leadership or whomever. But start having those thoughts and conversations as early as possible. And then finally, why does an employment brand matter? Why is this an important thing to be focusing on and thinking about? One, it provides consistency for job seekers. And we're not talking about consistency across every different platform. While that's totally fine, you can have the same photo as LinkedIn, as you do on Twitter, as you do on Facebook. We're talking about consistency from a messaging standpoint. Does your job description and your interview process tell the same story as what people are seeing on social media? Does your social media pages and your employment branding pages depict this fun, awesome culture where people support one another and celebrate wins and successes? And then when they get in for the interview process, everyone is very sterile and serious. That's not telling a consistent message. So make sure you're thinking about that strategically. It also helps with brand recognition. So there's a lot of people here that work for organizations that have been around forever and ever. I've never had the pleasure of working for a company like that. And it's been an effort to get that name out, right? So the more often you're able to broadcast that message and connect with people showing all the amazing things you're doing as an organization, the more likely they are to, when it is time for them to start looking for a job, think of your company to say, you know what, they do really cool things. I wonder if they have an opportunity that could be a good fit for someone like me. It also helps, of course, with retention. So not only are we trying to target folks external to your organization, we're also wanting to keep, right? So how does your employment brand help with that? It serves, one, as a reminder to all the amazing things that you or your company has done. It also serves as a piece of connectivity. So if you do have disparate offices or people working remotely and people working in Japan and wherever, this is a place for us to come together, look in a single stream of all the amazing things that all these different people can accomplish as part of one organization.